Speaking with forked tongue, politicians must promise the impossible to get elected by voters with very different desires. The source of great evil in this world begins with lying, fork-tongued politicians who preach a partial truth. Adolf Hitler successfully used this technique to gain widespread national political support. Voters with no critical thinking skills want to believe the impossible lie that a corrupt politician can satisfy the mutually exclusive greed of voters with very different, conflicting goals. Adolf Hitler invented and then sold the crazy political idea that a preemptive war to prevent war was a good idea. Dwight Eisenhower defeated Hitler in World War II and then said that war to prevent war was insanity that should never ever be an option. Comedians have pointed out that President George Bush's deadly war to prevent war is like having sex to protect virginity.
You are an idiot!
Anyone who even suggests such stupid Hitler-like insanity belongs in a straitjacket. Not the unrestrained commander-in-chief of the world's largest military machine. Oh my! Millions of militant Muslims now strongly believe that George Bush is far worse than Hitler ever was, and that aggression against all Americans is as justified as America's World War II destruction of Germany and Japan. Rational, open-minded people must now ask, has George Bush's ridiculous war to prevent war worked? Furthermore, is any oil-related war ever rational? The Bush-Cheney administration, warsome, insane preemptive war to prevent war was based on fabricated lies, sinister international deceit, and criminal perjury about non-existent weapons of mass destruction. Initially, it was widely supported by both Republican and Democrat clueless invertebrate Congress with no critical thinking skills. The Bush-Cheney insane preemptive war to prevent war has lasted much longer than the devastating World War II. In its sixth year, over 4,000 U.S. soldiers have been killed, 30,000 maimed, mutilated, and amputated, destroying their lives. Millions of innocent non-combatant women and children have been killed and injured, and limbs ripped off of their body. Yet our military considers this acceptable collateral damage. Does it make any sense at all for a killing nation to pray to the loving God who created the universe and commanded us not to kill each other? How will God and history remember the criminals who created and supported this unnecessary, avoidable, insane war to prevent war? Chris Dodd, 26-year senator, said, "Make no mistake, this war is not about getting rid of Saddam Hussein or democracy for Iraq. It is about oil." The direct cause and effect chain of command begins with our inefficient American SUVs. Oil company lobbyists and oil-corrupted politicians provide billions in big oil subsidies and necessitate deadly oil-related war to prevent war. It is truly insane beyond the wildest imagination. Extreme American anger over the bloody bad Bush war to prevent war in Iraq gave the Democrats control of the Congress in 2007. House Resolution 6 was one of the top bills on Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's agenda. It would have ended the 2005 Republican huge subsidies to oil companies. It passed the House with a wide bipartisan margin of support. But on June 21st and again on December 13th, 2007, 40 fossil fuel corrupted senators led by Jim Inhofe blocked the end of the insane and sinister petroleum subsidies to the extremely profitable big oil companies that have sent trillions of dollars to terrorist countries. By November 8, 2007, oil price had jumped 42% and is still rising. Nancy Pelosi said, "We must reduce the pump price of energy and heating oil." Regardless of what any fork-tongued, doublespeak politician ever says to you, it is impossible to significantly increase oil company taxes and also lower consumer prices of a declining, non-renewable, dirty energy source whose supply is falling far behind worldwide demand. President Carter faced the exact same problem that we have today. But unlike us, he had a plan to end oil imports. But the hardship that oil prices created forced him to subsidize home heating oil. The net effect was that his oil subsidy drove up the OPEC oil prices and made us even more addicted to imported foreign oil. We are a foolish, non-learning, oil-addicted nation with apparently no memory or any hindsight at all. We are led by forked-tongued politicians that we keep re-electing again and again. Alan Greenspan understands the American economy at least as well as any other economist. He knows exactly what happened when Ronald Reagan subsidized the importation of oil. He saw what happened when Jimmy Carter's home heating oil subsidies increased OPEC oil prices and our dependency on foreign oil. Alan Greenspan says that we must terminate our addiction to oil, and he recommends a phased-in $3 per gallon tax on oil products. The serious controversy over petroleum subsidy for the poor versus petroleum phase-out is great for many good and valid reasons. But forked-tongued politicians cannot have it both ways. We must think about the long-term energy future for our grandchildren. Providing energy efficiency subsidies to rich people who can afford zero-energy technology will not help the poor people who are being hurt the most by high energy prices. It is Mr. Magoo myopic to subsidize the many errors of our foolish past. We must rapidly accelerate affordable clean energy, especially for the poor. Abundant clean energy from the sun and its byproducts like wind and rain is the only viable solution for our grandchildren's future. It has been low cost and off-the-shelf available for decades. Abundant clean energy from the sun is the acronym ACE. It is now time for us to play the ACE card, our ace of energy, to trump all other short-sighted energy losers. Abundant clean energy! Abundant clean energy! Abundant clean energy! Abundant Energy Man stands immediately available with all of the proven scientific answers that we need to get started today. The solution must begin at the grassroots from people like you and me. For over a century, corrupt politicians have proven that they just don't have a clue. To live the joyful lifestyle of abundant energy in harmony with nature, we must reject fork-tongued politicians. Get involved. Energy efficiency begins in your home and in your car. Make it happen today. Our websites at zeroenergydesign.com and passivesolarenergy.info have details. We also have many informative videos on YouTube under the Zero Energy Design channel.
I'm out of here!